You're back on the air with the restaurant brokers, Eric and Robin Gagnon. Today we're talking about the role of public relations for the restaurant operators. But let's switch gear a little bit and discussing from branding to talking about, what the coveted media attention. Alex, you have some tips here for our listeners about how to get the attention of the radio, the television, and anybody out there that would like to have a little piece of their 30 seconds of fame.
Sure. One of the things of being an on-air personality for as many years as I was is I know that people are constantly being pitched always. And so one of the things that you want to make sure that you're doing when you're trying to secure media coverage for your restaurant is you have to think problem, solution. And you also have to think content and the idea of content marketing in that, listen, new restaurants are popping up all the time. What is it about yours specifically that's going to be different? Is there something unique about yours? Is there a story about you or the clientele that you're going after or the way that you hire or the way that you get your produce or whatever it might be? But you really have to think on that level to begin with, because I tell you, I've been on the other side of being pitched all the time by people who want airtime essentially for free because it is publicity as opposed to advertising, and I'll hit delete if it doesn't sound like it's going to be only a commercial. You've got to think with the information first and then provide it in a very succinct way to whatever journalist you're going to, because time is of the essence.
Okay, Elizabeth, why don't you weigh in? Your tips for getting your clients on the air?
On the flip side, sometimes you have to do something cataclysmic to shape the complacency maybe of where a client might be sitting. And so occasionally a PR stunt might be the call. We threw a blood dinner, a dinner where 5 courses were made all with blood at a very conservative restaurant. I thought Chris was going to have a heart attack. But the New York Times loved it, but Better Homes and Gardens didn't. So, you definitely have to pick your audience and you have to pick your tactic, and everything is very strategic and very well thought out. Sometimes it's a risk that pays off. Nice ink in the New York Times is great. We've had, that was a nice jump. But we also had to think about the impact of the expectation in the aftermath of throwing a blood dinner at Atlanta's most conservative restaurant. So.
Rude. And, as restaurant brokers, we are often selling a restaurant that maybe wasn't as successful as it could be. It really needs to make a splash about the management change. How could and should a new restaurant owner use a PR firm? And then tell us a little bit. Let's talk numbers. What should someone consider as a reasonable PR budget to do a relaunch?
I'll let Elizabeth take that one first.
That is such a loaded question. I'm going to give you the answer. I think a 25-hour a month commitment is something that, and again, that rate's going to vary market to market, but I really think it's tough to do anything less than that. I also think that looking at different types of PR is not always just a catch-all. So it's like Alex and I were talking about social media. You've got marketing programs. Some folks do print advertising, and they consider that another PR hat sometimes. So I think more it's about time. Some shops are going to be more, some shops are going to be less.
Okay, so Alex, that bought you some time. You have to weigh in now.
I don't mind weighing in. One of the things is with EMSI, we're a pay-for-performance firm, so we operate on projects, on what the actual specific project is. So for us, it would be a matter of sitting down, what exactly is the mission? What are you going after? And then let's build around a program based off of whatever that mission might be. The investment can be, I like, the idea of 25 hours, 3 months, 2 months, whatever it might be, just understanding that there's going to be a lot of creative involved that might miss and then might hit. But, it's an entire process. It doesn't always happen overnight.
Right. And that 25 hours is actually a month. I mean, you're thinking about like lead times in print publications. For instance, if you're pitching a national, like a food and wine, that's going to take me, 9 months, 6 months maybe for an online piece. And that's for a firm that has really good, solid relationships and has a good batting average. I think it really depends. It depends on what aspect of PR you're looking at. The old rule used to be anywhere between 3 to 5%. I don't look at that anymore. I think the folks at Nation's Restaurant News would have a lot of good data on that. But
let's talk about something a little different here. Let's say you do get that hit, you do get into Food and Wine magazine, you get in front of national television or everything here, and you get some positive buzz, and you get a great interview, a great quote. Alex, how do you give some advice to a restaurant how they can repurpose this and reuse that positive media so they can get the gift that keeps on giving?
The options are endless. I think the first important qualifier is it depends on the type of brand that you operate. So if you operate an organic, burger chain out of a certain part of town versus a high-end restaurant, you're obviously going to want to think very differently about how you repurpose it. Some of the basic ideas go from, whatever the media placement is, especially if it's in print, getting it nicely matted and framed and hanging that up. But depending also, too, of how much of an online presence you have, you want to make sure that that is there on your website, a proper placement, if you will, that makes people feel good when they're looking you up and they're looking up menus and they see that you've been featured somewhere. Then obviously, too, don't forget about your social media networks. Every time that you get a nice hit, again, as long as it is brand appropriate, that you would then share it with those people on social networks. Again, that way it's not just that one time only, but you have the opportunity for multiple people to see it multiple times.
I think some folks are definitely going to want to follow up after today's show and get to know each of you a little bit better. So, Elizabeth, take a moment and tell us, what is your website and or Twitter handle? Where can folks reach out to you?
The website is greenolivemedia.com, and we have a blog as well. There's a whole lot about barbecue right now because we're talking about barbecue coming up on summer season. And then my Twitter handle is greenolivemedia. My partner's Twitter handle is greenoliveeats, and then you can kind of, follow in with the dozen or so other folks in the office.
Okay.
Stemming off of ours.
Real quick, Alex, what's your website address and Twitter handle?
The Twitter handle is @EMSIPR, and the website is EMSIpublicrelations.com. We've got a free ebook right there, The Power of Publicity for Your Business, and it applies for all businesses, including restaurants.
Oh, that's great.
How about you, Chris? If some young chef or young entrepreneur wants to have a little bit of advice from a seasoned veteran, where they can find you except behind the bar and having a cocktail at your place?
You're going to send it to me, right?
At the Georgian Terrace for sure. The website, it's livingstonAtlanta.com, it's proofandprovision.com, it's georgianterrace.com. But, probably the easiest way, being in operations is via email for me.
Okay.
So cmartha at thegeorgianterrace.com is probably the easiest way. Feel free to reach out. We're always looking for great people.
That's great. So thank you both, all three of you, for your time today. You remember you're on the air with the Restaurant Broker. Our show today has been talking about public relations with Chris Martha from the Georgian, Alex Hinojoso from EMSI, and also Elizabeth Moore from Green Olive Media. This is Eric and Robin Gagnon. We're the Restaurant Brokers. We operate the country's largest restaurant brokerage firm. Find us online at WeSellRestaurants.com. Our Twitter handle, Sell Restaurants. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.